This video is about noticing people of peace. Where did that come from? Well, you know we've been dwelling in Luke 10, 1 to 12 for a number of years, and we encourage congregations to do the same. If you stay in Luke 10 for any length of time, you get to seeing pieces of Luke 10 in your surrounding world, in your congregation, in your community. For example, there's that verse, say peace to this house, and if a person of peace is there, your peace will rest on that person. If not, it will return to you. Well, this seems like an odd behavior to people in the 21st century. How often do we come to the door of a house or a store or a gas station and say, peace to this house? But what if we did?
It reminds me of a particular congregation in Weston-super-Mare, which is in England. As I recall, it looks over the Bristol Bay, but I might be wrong on that. And this was a parish that was a product of an ecumenical effort. But they'd had a tough go. It just wasn't working very well. And one of the most amazing things happened as they dwelled in the Luke 10 text. Over a period of time, and they just put it very simply, they realized that God had been sending them people of peace for years, and they hadn't noticed them. And that as they began to notice them, they realized that in their everyday lives and in the ministry which the congregation was doing, there were all these opportunities to eat what was set before them, to cure the sick who were there, that there was all of these people really offering to be a part of their ministry, to be a part of God's mission in their world, and in the particular estate, which is kind of a housing development, in which they were located, and it opened so many relationships. It really was stunning. So as we were looking back, 4 or 5 years later now, and looking at the effects, what many members of both the original congregation, but more importantly, a lot of new members said was, they started noticing people of peace. And that was it. And that became the honestly, extraordinary transformation of this congregation.
So here's a phrase in Luke 10, greet a person of peace, and say peace to this house. It's just in there. It's just one verse in that passage. And yet, as they dwelt in that, they began to see it in the neighborhood, and pretty soon it transformed actually who they were. Not just who they were saying hello to, but who they actually were.
That is, in fact, what happened. And the thing is that happens in a lot of settings. This isn't an extremely rare instance. It's, if you will, it's the most obvious one, maybe. But it's a pattern.
Interesting.